Now in its 10th year, this is Gabnet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Ramble, live from Harlem in New York City. I believe, Larry Bubbles Brown, that this is episode number 336, I believe, of us doing this.
Wow.
And I was trying to think before I went to sleep last night, how many more we have to do before we hit 500, and will I live long enough?
Well, we need apparently 166.
And we do 52 a year.
So it'll
About.
be 3 years.
It'd be 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can make it to 500.
That would be a daunting task.
Well, it isn't amazing when we look back on how many we have done.
I know.
I have endless. I don't need to do these anymore with you. I can just run old ones and nobody would have heard them.
Right.
But Larry lives out in California, in San Francisco, the town in which I was born, my hometown. And as I watch movies with San Francisco in it, I keep saying to Marjorie, "Oh, I miss that city. Oh, I so miss that city." But you say I wouldn't. I would be disappointed.
I think you'd be disappointed. Yeah, the architecture of the new buildings is horrible, and
yeah. Well,
although we did have a small earthquake last night. You might like those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I miss the earthquakes.
Yeah.
No, don't you find that when you have one and it's kind of not really a
They're
big...
kind of fun. This one last night, it started out like, wow, it's going to get big, and then it just suddenly stopped.
Well, explain to people what happens with earthquakes when you're sitting there. It makes you wonder whether it's going to be a big one or a bad one.
Yeah, you feel a little shaking, and then you realize, oh, there's an earthquake, and then it gets a little stronger, and then you start to think, oh my God, and then it either goes or stops.
It ramps up.
Yeah.
And if it's a big one, it really ramps up. But then what do you do today? You go out and you see friends, right? And you say, did you feel the earthquake last night?
Everyone will talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, like it's a big deal. And I grew up in that area. I grew up with constant earthquakes happening. And none of them were particularly sensational until we got the Loma Prieta in,
89.
89. And that one was a big one,
Were you in your apartment when that hit?
I was on Divisadero coming down the other side.
Oh, you were in the car, right.
Mm-hmm. And that was weird because I decided going down the hill to put the brakes on, and the brakes weren't working. And I couldn't figure out why. And then all of a sudden I noticed people piling out into the streets, and the overhead wires were shaking. And I suddenly realized it was an earthquake, and the reason why my brakes weren't working is my car was bouncing down the street.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, wow, we better, go back into the marina. We went back into the marina, and there was a lot of destruction,
Your building was still standing.
My building was still standing. I had some cracks in my wall, which I left there, by the way. Once they came in and fixed everything up, I said, leave the crack.
Really?
Well, because I wanted to be able to point to it and say, see, that was the earthquake. And it was only, it wasn't a crack in the wall. It was like a crack in the plaster and stuff. So, and the only damage I had was a bookcase that fell down. But that night, we were without lights and without electricity and without.
I think for a couple of days, right?
And without gas for about a couple of weeks. Yeah. What happened? All the pipes in the in the marina were metal pipes that were under the ground. And so when an earthquake happened, they just broke. Right? Mm-hmm. So in every apartment house, including mine, they had to go in and redo all the gas using flexible piping. And so I was without gas for maybe 3-4 weeks, something like that.
Jesus, wow.
But we were only without electricity, I think, for about maybe half a day or something like that, at least where I was. And I've talked about this before, and I think you remember it, and I don't want to repeat myself, but I will, because at my age, that's all I have to do. I have no new memories. But my girlfriend and I had broken up, one of the many times we had broken up, and she was over at the apartment when the earthquake, when I said, well, let's go up the hill, let's go down the other side to Visadero, and then all that happened. So she wound up spending the night with me, and we screwed like crazy. I mean, like crazy. And I just, there was something about, I have since referred to it as a rubble fuck. There's something about, and then later on I went and I asked, I don't know, a psychologist or a psychiatrist or somebody was into this sort of thing. And I told him the story about this really amazing sex that we had that night. And he said, that's normal. He said people, if they have somebody around, have a tendency that night, in all the smoke going on around you, and there were lights outside of fire trucks and smoke and all of that. And he said, in all of that, people have a tendency to want to have sex because there's an urge, a primal urge to duplicate yourself.
Yeah, maybe to the last chance.
Perpetuate your species. And so that's, he said, I've heard that story a lot of times where people said, I was in a terrible situation and there was this and there was that and there was smoke in the air and whatever. And I and my wife started screwing like crazy. And he said, that's normal. He said, that's just a phenomenon of human beings. So my suggestion is that you right now book a plane, take a woman you know who you want to have sex with, and she doesn't mind having it with you, and go to Gaza right now. And have a good rubble fuck. I mean, that's my story, and I'm living by it. But, But, I mean, well, you were in the earthquake, weren't you? You were in the Loma
Yeah, I
Prieta.
wasn't that far from you. Our building was, we were yellow tagged, which means there was damage, but we were allowed in.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I had a person who was red tagged, though, woman I knew, and she had to move out and have a fireman go in to get her stuff with her.
Yeah, I remember that, and they wouldn't let you in the building, and there were a couple of buildings that just collapsed and far from you.
Yeah, there was one building that looked like it was going to collapse because it was at a, what would I say, 45-degree angle or something into the street. And somehow they kept it from falling by putting up bracing and so on. And then they got the thing straight and they saved the building. It was that close. I'm using my fingers now. It was that close to falling over. It was amazing to me how they saved that. On the other hand, there was another down the street from us, a building that had collapsed, and it was 4 stories high, and it had entirely collapsed and pancaked. Nobody was killed, by the way.
No, I remember that. That was at Bay and Fillmore.
Something like that, yeah. It was it was North Point. I mean, it was on my street.
Yeah, somebody on the top floor.
That's right.
When it collapsed, they stepped out of their window onto the street.
It literally collapsed, and the person stepped out of their window and walked onto the street. Yeah. But he was the only person in the building at the time. but that one did collapse. I mean,
Yeah.
But so far as a lot of buildings collapsing, there weren't a lot of buildings that collapsed. There were a lot of buildings that had real damage. Like the whole back side of it fell apart and stuff like that they had to repair. But, when I left the marina, in 2003, was it? 2004? 2003. All those, you wouldn't know there had been an earthquake.
Right.
In fact, for the most part, you wouldn't have known there had been an earthquake a year later because everything was fixed and so on. But, folks, I'm telling you, move to Gaza, book a hotel room if there is one left, and you'll have the best sex you ever had. So.
Yeah. How bad is it over there? I'm not keeping up with the news. But...
Over there, Israel, well, as of the recording of this, and things could very well change by this time this was recorded, because this is going on in about 2 weeks, something like that. Israel was attacking again. I mean, I'm so ashamed to be a Jew, I mean, I've never felt ashamed of my people, but this is getting ridiculous, I mean, we're all for preserving lives and going, eschewing death. And here Israel is doing this in our name, and it's terrible. It's just terrible. But did you did you hear about? There's this movie coming out that's a live human version of Snow White. Now, why you want to do that is beyond me. But Disney figures, hey, it's good money. Let's do Snow White. We did all these others. Let's start. They did with Jungle Book, and they did Beauty and the Beast live, and let's just do Snow White. So they do this picture, and it's with Gal Gadot, who is an Israeli actress, okay, and this other woman who I never saw in my life, but she's Hispanic, playing Snow White, which, she's Hispanic. White isn't exactly the best way to describe her. That was the big mistake. That was one of the big mistakes. And all of a sudden, this woman who plays Snow White has come out with pronouncements being pro-Palestinian. And that has hurt the film with people who don't want to go see a film with a pro-Palestinian. And Gal Gadot is Israeli, and they won't appear together in interviews.
Really?
Because she said, you wrote all this stuff about Israel being horrible and the Palestinians are great, and I don't want to be in the same room with you. So they can't get them to go to interviews together. It's supposedly just a ghastly film. They have the what do you call it? The dwarves are CGI. They're human beings that are playing the parts, but they CGI'd them later, all right? And they all look bizarre. They're more scary than the witch.
Jesus.
I mean, they say it's going to be it costs $300 million to make this film. And they say it's going to be Disney's worst disaster. Because nobody wants to see it.
No.
And they're promoting it like crazy, but they won't do a premiere on it. They canceled the premiere in England, and they canceled, I think, a premiere here. They're just going to put the movie out. That's it. So, if you have Disney stock, get rid of it.
I didn't know that they had two warring stars in it.
Mm-hmm.
So. I thought it was something else that she'd said that was controversial. I didn't know it was about the guy that stuff.
Yeah, no, I think maybe she said some other things too. It seems as though today people hurt their careers by posting, putting up posts that say something. And the one that I remember recently was the woman, the guy, woman, the guy, woman, the trans, who was in Emilia Perez, which is a picture got nominated for Best Picture, Best Supporting, Best Actress, which she was nominated for. I mean, they put her in the female category. And then he went out and put out some posts that were very nasty towards not homosexuals. What did she go after? I think probably went after people who were, the Jews or whatever. But there's some terrible stuff she said. And so all of Hollywood hated her. And by osmosis, hated the picture as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoe Saldana won for Best Supporting Actress in that film, but that was the only thing it got. And in the beginning, when it first came out, they said, this is the picture to beat. And by the time all this stuff with her and her posts and so on came out, that picture couldn't, catch a cold. I mean, it was a disaster. So what you got to do is, hey, just don't post anything, okay?
I think if you're famous, I would get rid of every social account.
The one I can't figure out is Elon Musk. Richest man in the world, although not as rich as he was a couple of weeks ago. All right? He's lost so far about $70 billion in personal wealth. He's still the richest man in the world, but nobody's buying his damn cars anymore because of what he's doing. He shouldn't have done it. Just shut up. What makes you want to become so political? What, I want to help the world? No. You're helping the world by having a gas-free, emissionless car. Okay? You're helping the society by having rockets that can send people to the moon. Just do what you do and don't, And he just diluted everything that was his.
Yeah, he actually got those two astronauts down that have been stuck in space for months.
Yeah, a lot of people say, well, thank you, SpaceX, but because they went up in a SpaceX rocket, but that's a NASA thing, that whole procedure.
Mm-hmm.
But, and you say they brought them back safely. We're saying that because as we are talking, they're coming back. Okay? And they're going to land in the Pacific, Pacific? No, Atlantic, I think. Maybe in the Gulf of America, huh? Anyway, they're going to land, and hopefully they did it fine. And when we're talking now, we say, wow, they brought them back. So.
Well, they were supposed to be up for a week, and they've been up there for 8 months or something.
9 months.
How do they have enough food?
Well, they had to apportion the food up there. They have a certain amount of food for a certain amount of people. So they had to do a little adjusting. And some people went back and they didn't bring other people up. This time they brought a whole crew of 4 up, and the 2 of them are going back. So, I mean, imagine being up in that space station and being marooned.
That's horrible.
I mean, come on. There's a certain point you go, gee, I want to get out of here, I mean, sure, it's a thrill for about 3 days.
Yeah. What if you have a medical emergency?
Oh, yeah. We never had anybody. Have we ever had anybody have a medical emergency?
I don't think so, but it could definitely happen.
I think we might have had one, and they brought it back. Yeah. I can't remember, though.
When you're up there in no gravity, you start to excrete your bone mass.
Oh yeah, that's why they're always working out.
Yeah.
And gaining, keeping. They have to work out 2 hours a day, and they have treadmills and things like that, But and they don't have weightlifting or anything because, quite frankly, you could press 100 pounds up there. I could do it, But they have these all these things that work your mass, and let you keep your mass going. But you have to do 2 hours a day up there. Otherwise, if you came back, you would just be jelly inside.
If they offered you a 3-day trip up there, would you go?
In a heartbeat.
Really, I wouldn't. Okay.
Oh no, that would be the dream of my life. If I have a bucket list, that would be on it.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah. No, that doesn't bother me. I mean, the thrill of being able to go through the whole process. I think the only part where I'd be afraid of, peeing my pants is on when they take off. Okay, that you're sitting there wondering, is this thing going to blow up? But even if the thing started to blow up, they've got a safety feature now that ejects the capsule from the rocket with a parachute. And so your chances of surviving a bad takeoff is pretty good now. So
yeah, too bad they didn't have that for the Challenger.
Well, what did they know then?
Yeah.
And the saddest part was that school teacher who simply went on it because she won the raffle.
That was very sad.
That was very sad. And there was another woman who died in that, who I thought was really hot. She had big curly hair. I can't remember her name now. I found out I think she was Jewish, actually. And
what was her name?
Yeah, boy. Well, I can't remember the names of women in my spank bank. Okay, so but that was
39 years ago.
I remember watching that on television when it happened. I'm sitting there watching it, and everybody's looking, and all of a sudden it explodes, and nobody knows really what's happening up there.
Yeah, people were kind of like, they didn't know what was going on. And
maybe that's part of it,
Yeah.
And and supposedly, this is the horrible part, they were still alive.
They wrote it down, yeah.
They wrote it down, yeah.
For miles.
Oh, God. Maybe I don't want to go to the space station. The only reason I would rather go to the Chinese space station. Have you seen the Chinese space station?
No.
The reason you haven't is they don't make a big deal out of it, but China's had a space station up there for quite a few years now. And I've seen pictures of it. And inside, it's gorgeous. And have you seen the inside of our space station? It looks like a 12-year-old's bedroom. Okay? It is just not. It's really old. And really what they should do is send up a new one. But the Chinese one is just, I looked at it, I said, oh, boy, this is like be a nice vacation up there. But you want to come back pretty fast so that you don't have trouble walking. They say that after 9 months, they're going to have to spend a couple of days lying down, sitting down.
I think so, yeah.
And that if they walk, they get nauseous. I didn't know nausea was part of it.
Yeah.
But it's quite a deal to spend that much time up there. You would never go, right?
No, I don't think so.
Why?
It's just like I think I'd be afraid of the thing blowing up on takeoff.
Well, we've only had 2 space accidents. One was on launch with the Challenger, and the other was. Do you remember the other one?
There was one that blew up. Was coming back?
It was coming back, yeah, and it blew up, yeah. But we've only had those tragedies, and how many hundreds, maybe hundreds of people have we sent up? How many thousands?
Mm-hmm.
So your space travel is probably safer than you driving your car to L.A. Okay. So
sure.
Yeah. So it's not, space travel is pretty safe, all things considered. Just scary. That's all. But you don't when you go to an amusement park, you don't like a scary ride, do you?
When I was a kid, I did. Yeah.
Really?
Now I wouldn't. I got. I think my fear of heights has been heightened. I think as I gotten older.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You know when you know it's strange, and we have to wrap this up. But is that when you're riding an airplane, I always wondered. Always have a fear of heights too. But when I look out an airplane window, I don't have a fear of heights.
Same here. Yeah.
They say because you don't have when you're on a building, you can see the side of the building, so you have a relationship to the bottom. Okay.
Yeah, and you could actually follow.
Yeah, but on a plane there is none. There's no. You're just flying. You're not.
Yeah.
You know. So I can look down and go, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, isn't that cool? Anyway, hey, we've run out of time, Larry Bubbles Brown.
Yes, we have.
Number 300 and I think it's
36?
336. I think this one is. Yeah.
So 166 more to go.
Yeah. How many hours do you figure that is?
So 106. So we do about half an hour. So it'd be about 83 hours
That we've done so far?
that we need to go to 500.
Oh, need to go to 500. I see. Okay. But how many? Well, I'll figure it out later. Anyway, Larry.
Thank you.
Larry Brown. Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now in its 10th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And thank you very much, Larry Brown. And Larry joins us every week. He's very good about it. He's been terrific. He's been there for the last many years, and I really appreciate it. I really do. Let me just turn a few things up and down here. We have somebody waiting online, and I don't trust it. But let me see who it is, and if it is them, then I will go ahead and let them on. But let me put them on first. Let me see here what is here. See? It's somebody who is not turning themselves on. So I can get rid of them, I guess. From Katie to everyone, thanks. Give me a second. Okay, let's see who Katie Jones is. I'm not putting her up yet. I'm not putting her on. My camera is bugging. Okay, well, if it's having trouble. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Katie? Can you hear me? Okay. Well, Katie's having she can, but she can't, she's not chatting back. So I'm going to have to get rid of you, Katie. There she is. Oh, okay. Katie, are you there? Are you an official human being? Yes, she says, but all I'm getting is, I don't know. I don't trust this at all. I don't trust this at all. Okay. Yeah, of course. It was going to turn into that. Of course, there's no audio, there's no video, so she can't hear anything. And let me just get rid of this person, and we go, let's see here, remove. Okay, there we go, and we will remove. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's you're not getting on here, and we're reporting you now to what do you call it? Whatever that is, to Zoom, to let you know what's going on. See, I know how to stop these people. It's useless for them to try, and all it does is waste their time and a slight amount of mine, but that's about it. Okay. All right. Got some people I do trust waiting here. Here comes Josh Wheeler, and Alan is here as well. So let me bring them on. Okay, here we are. There we go. Hello, Josh. How are you this evening?
I'm good. How you doing?
And hello to Alan. How are you this evening?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Showing how old I'm getting. Today I get a call from Amy. And Amy is planning on, because they're dropping Skype, and she's been using Skype up until now, which it was fine. It was, Microsoft is getting rid of it because they want to have you go over to Microsoft Teams now, okay? Which I don't know if it's any good. I've looked at it and I can't even figure out how you do audio only on it like we've been doing. But anyway, so she said to me, I got to go to something else, and so she wants to do what we do here, which is the video and all of that. And she signed up for 800 different things, and she was kind of confusing me tonight. And I said to her, "Look, all you need to do is just continue. You could continue doing the audio, and just do it using that. We can find a way for you to do that, and so on." And she said, "Well, I don't know, So she wants to go to video, and I don't know if I'm young enough to put up with getting somebody to go to video. Okay, when they say I want to go to video, I want to put it on YouTube, and then we'll do that, and we'll put, And I say, it's not that easy. I mean, it took me forever to get it figured out, right? I got it figured out, but, even then, I've still got problems here and there, and I'm not perfect at it. And so I am dreading having to get her up to speed on this thing, and then getting it so that she does the video on YouTube, and I then have to do revisions on the GabNet site, and I don't know if I have the energy for that anymore. I really don't know, but I'm trying to figure out a simple way for her to do it. And also, I told her, I said, it's going to be a month before you get this down, before you're able to do this smoothly. And there are going to be endless numbers of shows with no people on them, and you not being able to do a show, and so on and so forth. And I said, well, let's talk about it next week. I said, when I've got more time and I'm a little calmer than I am right now, because I was going through some stuff here that I was having to deal with. And so, I don't know. So I'm exhausted from just that conversation. At 85, it's a little harder to, I got all this stuff running, and half of it, I can't remember how I got it running in the first place. You don't do technology, you don't do the same technology for more than a week, and you forget how to do it. So it's weird, it's strange. But anyway, hello to all of you. We started off our show with a person who didn't exist, of course. And I was very happy to be able to accommodate them, let them think they were getting on the air, but they weren't, and waste their time, because they weren't wasting mine. The more time I can spend doing nothing on this show for an hour, the faster I can get off and go to bed and go to sleep tonight. So I don't care. Okay, you get it? You little piece of crap. Plus the fact that I then turned them into Zoom, and Zoom has their way with them. Oh, yeah. Zoom has done nothing to try and create any kind of a system where we can solve this problem. Where if some people start going after you and, spoofing you and trying to screw up your show, there's no way that we can take care of them. It'd be very, very nice if I could just report them to Zoom, and Zoom would say, oh, we know their IP address, and now we'll make it so they can't be available. Zoom's too lazy to do that, and I pay them $150 a year to be able to do something for me besides just this, So anyway, that's that, I was just watching a thing with Conan O'Brien. I've never been. Are either of you a big fan of Conan O'Brien's?
No.
I guess you got to be one step younger than us to like Conan O'Brien, because you didn't grow up on Letterman. You grew up on Conan, okay? Right. And Conan, whenever I watched him, I didn't find him that funny. I thought he was a little less than perfect. But then again, for all those years, I had Letterman, and when you had Letterman, that was like you had steak every night, and now they're feeding you hash. But I watched this show with Conan, in which he talked about the whole period of him getting the show up and running on NBC and all the problems. Because if anybody remembers, the guy had to do it. Oh, I think in just a couple of months, get that show on the air. And for all the trouble that he went through, I had to appreciate that he persevered, you know? So I've gained a certain respect for Conan that I didn't have before, but not as being funny or interesting or anything that I would want to watch. I just found him, what he had to go through to do this, and the fact that he was able to persevere and do it. And now he's hosting the Academy Awards. What's that all about? You know, you went out and got the unfunniest person on television to host the Academy Awards. Who else turned you down? You know, I mean, come on. I was available, for crying out loud.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
We ought to write them and say Alex Bennett should be hosting it.
So nobody's calling tonight, so this is fine. You know, I don't care.
I'm not here usually on Friday nights, and I watch the show later on tomorrow or the next day, and the room's full of people. And tonight I come on and nobody's here.
Yeah, nobody's here. Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I got a little thing here that somebody put up. An ex-girlfriend of mine put up on her website, and I hadn't seen this before. I hadn't seen this list, and I was amazed by it, to be honest with you, because it puts everything in perspective. Okay. And when everybody has the idea that the Republicans are the best with handling money and handling the money, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, you. Hold on. Oh, boy. We've been having, I went to the dentist yesterday, and in the middle of all of it, the woman who's cleaning my teeth suddenly starts sneezing like crazy.
Wow.
It's allergy season. It's
Sure
here. And it's not warm either. It's just allergy season. Hello, Ray. How are you?
Hi.
Anyway, so I've got this list because we all get the idea, the Republicans say, the Democrats are always bad with money. They don't handle money well. They don't handle the national debt well, so on, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So do you believe that? Anybody believe that? No, of course, because we're all Democrats here. But listen to this. Jimmy Carter added $25 billion to the deficit. Bad, huh? Ronald Reagan added $74 billion. And that seemed bad at the time, but just wait. George H.W. Bush added $102 billion. Now, Bill Clinton became president, and what did he do? He reduced the deficit by $383 billion, leaving the budget in a surplus when he left office.
Yep.
Here comes George W. Bush. He added another 1.54 trillion to the deficit. Wow. Along comes Barack Obama. He got the deficit down to $585 billion. That is, he reduced it by $825 billion. Donald Trump came into office. How much? Do you have any idea how much he added to the deficit?
$3 trillion.
Well, his first administration added more to the deficit than the previous 44 presidents combined.
It was, in fact, you're correct, $2.1 trillion. Okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now we get to Joe Biden. What did he do? Did he, if you listen to Trump, he left us with a horrible deficit, right? He reduced the deficit by about $942 billion.
Right.
Yep.
So tell me these Republicans are good with money.
No, they're not.
They're not.
Never.
No.
They're terrible. It's all a myth.
Huh?
It's a huge myth. It's all falsity.
It's an absolute myth. So I'm wondering why. And then also today, did you see the stock exchange today?
I can't stand even
Oh
looking at it.
boy, I can't. You have money in in stocks,
lot.
right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how
I
much you've
wanna-
lost recently, but I figure I've lost somewhere around $25,000.
I don't even look. I
Yeah.
can't. I don't want to get upset.
Thank you very much, Donald Trump. It still leaves me with a lot of money, but it doesn't make me happy.
You know, the weird thing about this is I've gained money since he's been in office. More money in the 2 months he's been in office. I'm just obviously in the right stocks. More money in the last 2 months that he's been in office than the whole 4 years that Biden was in.
Well, there's always going to be some people like you, but it's just the curve,
But it also
I-
depends
I-
what you're. I don't know. I don't know what you're invested in.
No problem. I mean, they're blue chip. Johnson and Johnson.
Oh no, but blue chips are still. When the Dow goes down, they all go down.
Yeah, well, I lost $43 today, and my portfolio is worth considerably more than that.
Yeah, you lost $43 today. What did I lose today? Hold on a second. I'll take a look
God, I'm
here.
not going to even look.
I'll take a look here. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Oh, wait, I got to put a fire.
My only stock that keeps losing is Cisco Systems.
Let me see here.
Yeah.
Whoops. Go back. Go Face ID. There we go. Mm-hmm. Bing, bing, bong. Bing, bum. Let's see. I lost 289. What is this? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Okay. I lost $3,916 today. Wonderful, huh?
Yesterday,
Yeah.
I lost a lot, but
Now, I know a lot of you are going, oh, well, Bennett, Mr. Big Bucks. But, and I can afford to lose it, but I don't like it.
That type of money, no, I don't like it either when I lose. I mean, I don't have the millions you have, but
I don't have millions.
Oh, I thought you got this. I don't know. When you say it's go fuck me money, that's usually a
Well,
couple million dollars.
my age, it's go fuck me money.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And if I were a lot younger, that wouldn't be go fuck me money.
Yeah.
I'd be crying right now.
I think you and Marjorie ought to go on more trips.
Well, we're going to.
Good.
That means I might have to stop doing this,
For a week or two. So what? Enjoy life.
A week or two. If we do it, we're planning on going away forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, we're so sick of what this country has become that we don't want to be here when it becomes really ugly. I mean, did you see what Josh, what Trump was trying to do today? He wants to take over the Smithsonian Institute, and then he wants to redo history.
I
that
saw
sound
a
like
headline,
Hitler?
but yeah, I didn't read it.
Was I mistaken? Is that what did I read the right thing?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't read the story. I only read the headline and the byline where he proposed some sort of changes to the Smithsonian that he was going to have J.D. Vance oversee or something, whatever he deemed fit to be changed or something along those lines. I don't know what the substance of it was. I mean, I'm sure whatever it was stupid.
Yeah, no, it had to do with the fact that he wanted to retell history or something like that, or reappropriate history.
Huh.
I mean, come on. He wants to change everything. He wants to be able to get through with his term in office and have us, to begin with, I'm not calling it the Gulf of America, okay?
Right.
It's the Gulf of Mexico. It has been the Gulf of Mexico, and as soon as he leaves office, it will be the Gulf of Mexico again.
I call it the Gulf of Mar-Lago.
That might be one way of putting it, yes.
Except for Mar-a-Lago's on the other side of Florida.
That's all right. You just get a Sharpie and draw an arrow over there.
Draw a giant penis, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he
Hey,
does.
I don't feel so bad. My house of the last 30 days went up $154,000 in value, so that's good.
$154,000 in value?
Yeah. So whatever I lost in the
Wait a minute.
stock market, I don't care.
How did it do that?
Because I live in Palo Alto. It's insanity. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Last 30-day change, 150.
Well,
on
listen,
Zillow.
listen to Kevin. How long you lived in that house, Kevin?
I'm going on 26 years.
How much did you buy it for?
270 something.
What's it worth now?
Last time I looked, it was about 780.
Yeah.
Okay, check this out. I paid 400 grand for my house, and it's now worth 4 million.
Really?
Because you're in Palo Alto.
Yeah.
Of course, what happens is, I remember I had some friends I knew, and they lived in this very nice apartment on the west side of New York, down around the 60s, around the 70s. And I said, you know, if you don't mind me asking, how much you pay for this place? And they said, well, we paid X number of dollars, and it was, it was pretty, if I told you the number by today's standards, pretty cheap, Yeah. And they said it was a condo, so we just bought the condo, and we just got through paying it off. We paid it off fast because it wasn't that expensive. And I said, he said, all of a sudden, we looked to see what it's worth today, and it's worth like $5 million. And they'd bought it for like a couple $100,000, right? And I said, well, why don't you sell it? And they said, we're never going to be able to live in a place this expensive again. You can give it up, but you got to go somewhere else. And what are you going to have to pay for that now?
What did you pay for your house, Ray?
400, maybe 400, 450, something like that.
It's all paid off, I would imagine.
No, it's not. I still have a loan on it.
No,
But we're gonna pay it off because the interest went way up.
Oh, really? Oh, because
Yeah, we didn't refinance when it was down at when Biden was president. It was down like 2.5% interest rate. We didn't refinance, and now it's up at 7.
Well, why, if you bought it 25 years ago, do you still owe money on it? You kept borrowing
because
money on it?
we refinanced a few times.
Right.
Yeah.
Refine that.
Yeah.
But still, you're out ahead if it's
Yeah.
at 4 million.
Oh, way ahead. Yeah, way ahead.
You're doing good. I think I might be ahead of you though. When I was 19, I bought my parents' house when they got a divorce for $70,500, and according to Zillow, it's worth $2,200,000. And guess who owns it outright?
You. Well, I have another house that I own outright that I paid $150 for, and it's worth $1.5 million
Really,
right now.
$150. That's pretty.
But you know what the thing is? If
$150,000.
either of you want to say, okay, I'll take the money, I'm going to sell the house right now. Now you got
gotta
to
pay
go
tax.
move in somewhere else.
You're gonna get hit so hard with
Well,
taxes.
also, but what would the same house in your neighborhood cost today?
Yeah, I'd have to move to
$10
another
million.
state or something.
Yeah, it'd be the same amount.
I couldn't afford to move into my own neighborhood.
You wouldn't want to.
No, me either.
No, me either. I'd want to move into Ray's neighborhood.
Ray,
And then you're going to pay like ridiculous property taxes too.
I don't want to live there. I mean, Palo Alto's got a lot of very nice houses.
It's so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's more expensive than San Francisco.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, the last time I checked, or at least the same.
Oh well, that's okay.
Kevin's
I'd rather
agreeing
Palo
with
Alto
that.
than San Francisco.
Kevin's agreeing with that. Do you realize that 3 of the people we have here right now are all from the Bay Area?
And 3 are not.
And 3 are not. Yeah. Right. Josh, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, you've been watching the news and seeing all the people that are quitting their jobs with with government agencies and so on. The head of head of vaccines at the NSA. The NSA? What is the
FDA?
FDA?
FDA.
At the FDA, just quit
Dr.
because he
Peter
said
Marks.
Huh?
Dr. Peter Marks.
Yeah, he quit. Tell him why he quit. Does it say there?
Yeah, it just says that he was removed. I have to read.
No,
the
he
story.
wasn't removed. He quit. The guy I'm thinking of quit. And
this guy, it says he
hold on a second. I have it right here. Hold on a second. No.
They want to escape the clown show.
Yeah.
That was basically it. He quit because he said he couldn't go along with JFK's attitudes about vaccines. He felt it was irresponsible,
Right.
you know,
is.
and he
This
didn't
is
want to
one
be
of the
part of it.
this is one of the smartest and longest lasting vaccinologists in the FDA. And the guy's got years he could go, but he said, "I'm quitting."
Yeah, yeah. And who else said he was quitting? There was one other that said he was quitting because he couldn't stand being where he was.
The vice president.
No, no.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? The trouble is that then Trump would probably put Musk.
Well,
in
he's in Greenland right now, you know.
there.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll grab their visas and they can't come back home.
Well, you know, nobody ever thought to say, look, Greenland, we don't want to upset you, okay?
Here's
However,
an-
we would like to pay you a certain amount of money to buy your precious minerals,
Sure.
But no, we didn't do that. No,
we have
we've
to
got to
take them
just
over.
alienate the whole goddamn country, which is about 52,000 people.
Hey,
That's
it's the art of the deal.
Yeah, it's
It's the
50.
art of the deal.
Here's this great deal that nobody's looking at. All this tariffs and stuff in Canada, right? Guess how you have to get to Alaska? They have a main road that goes through Canada.
Yeah.
Canada's talking about we have an agreement that they'll charge so much and we'll charge so much, but all they got to do is stop the trucking traffic going up that road, and they say that like 75% of the goods won't get into Alaska. They can take it up there by ship, but it's a lot more expensive and stuff. So, and they got to get in close to Canada into Canadian waters, and I don't know. Canada. One of the big wigs was on the news, on the business news today or yesterday, talking about, boy, Canada could really screw the United States with Alaska.
Well, you got to go. You got to go through Canada, don't you, to get to Alaska? So,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yep. Other than international waters, but that's like 25 miles out. And you got to come into Canada before you can like dock in parts of Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, you know.
Well, they had some big meeting today.
Well, who had
Wow.
some big meeting today?
Trump and whoever runs Alaska now.
Whoever runs Alaska now, that would be
Not
the
Alaska,
governor.
Canada. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a heck of a good meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The head of Canada probably walked out after he insulted the vice president or something.
I
Well,
can't
I-
even remember the guy's name.
You know, here's all you got to do. Most of these people have gotten this down, but a lot of them just don't want to do it. Here's how you get everything you want out of Donald Trump. Oh, Mr. President, you are just the best president ever.
Yeah. Better than Lincoln.
And then after you push him off of your dick, you know, I mean, it really is important that that these people understand how to play this guy, because Putin did, and Putin isn't the brightest guy on the planet, you know. Am I right, Josh? This is the way you get to Trump. You get everything you want out of Trump.
Yeah, I mean, he typically, likes people that,
Worship him.
heap the praise upon him or whatever. I mean, so.
But doesn't he understand that they know this, and they've got him?
I
Doesn't
really
care.
don't know what he understands and doesn't understand, to be honest with you.
Wow.
He's not really all that. I mean, he's a clown, so I mean, it's like we've talked about on the weekends. The one thing that I absolutely cannot stand, really, almost more than anything in life, is a grown man who acts like a bitch and kisses the ass of another grown man, because he's so insecure that he can't make his own way in life. Somebody like Lindsey Graham, who just can't stand the fact that he might not be liked by him for 5 minutes, and is willing to take everything that he's ever thought about or stood for and put it in a box and have it FedExed away and just never even care about it ever again. He'll give up everything just to be liked by him for 5 minutes. It's so sick.
Well,
Yeah.
Marco Rubio did the same thing.
And they're such
Well,
weak
these are
ass
people.
individuals.
I mean, there are people like Marco Rubio
So
who
weak.
literally have been vilified by Trump in their lifetime. I mean, call him Little Marco, and he to this day he carries that name, Little Marco. Everybody calls him Little Marco.
So
But
weak.
you know, they took
No
they
self-respect.
took a page out of your playbook, Josh. The Democrats are now starting to refer to Donald Trump as Diaper Don.
Good. It's about time.
Yeah.
Good.
I
Yeah,
agree with
that's
Josh.
what I'm
They
saying.
should.
I wouldn't get too worked up about some of all this stuff. If a 6 pack of fucking Little Debbie's fucking brownies starts costing $19 in Alaska, then fuck all the people in Alaska.
That's okay
That's
with
fine
me.
because 99% of them voted for that fucking ass clown anyway. So have at it.
As long
I
as they
hope
don't
it
charge
does
that
get
in
that expensive.
California, it's one of my favorite Little Debbie items. So
I hope things do get that expensive. I seriously hope that my neighbors around here go to buy an alternator for their car 6 months from now at AutoZone, and I hope it's $975 fucking dollars.
yeah,
Don't blame
That's fine.
Biden though.
Go ahead.
Oh
I
no,
mean,
he'll
good.
blame Biden.
He
He
can
will.
blame whoever he wants, but people don't matter. Biden ain't there no more. The money's got to come out of the bank today.
Well, you know who
So,
came out? It was
know.
come out on. I saw it tonight on CBS because he came out on Face the Nation. Apparently, recorded it early. The head of the UAW has come out for Trump and his tariffs.
Good.
He doesn't understand.
everybody's kissing his ass.
Well, no, he thinks that it's going to be good for the auto industry. Okay, and the people who work in the auto industry. And what he doesn't understand is it's going to be terrible for them because number one, if you think they're going to want to pay the prices they're paying now for that kind of worker, they're not going to want to. Okay, and secondly, you got to get parts to put in those cars, and those are all going to have tariffs on them. And most of them are not made in the United States, will not be made in the United States. And by the way, we don't have that many auto plants in the United States as well.
Right.
And those that are here, I guess won't have to pay a tariff. But, geez almighty, to think he thinks that it's going to be better for his people. I think it's going to be worse for them at the end of the game. Today, however, Trump did say he was thinking of something, of raising the income tax rate on billionaires.
Well, wasn't that nice of him?
Well, you know what's so stupid about that? Okay, so you're a billionaire, right? What do you do if you don't want to pay the advanced prices, taxes on your money?
You move your money in somewhere that's not going to be taxed.
No, you have your company pay you off in stock.
Oh yeah, right.
Okay, and you take $3.75 an hour for a income.
Right.
Yeah, you
right.
can do
Your
that.
income tax is still going to be nothing because
And you have a credit card in the company's name. The company pays the bill.
that too. Although I think you have to pay some taxes on something like that, but I'm not sure. Don't ask me. Ask my
But also,
business
you
manager.
pay the billionaires pay a little bit more taxes, but the biggest problem is there are so many multi-millionaires that need to have their taxes raised. I mean, billionaires, whoop-de-doo. I mean, yeah, there's not that many of them, but what about all the half billionaires?
Yeah.
They should be paying more.
Hey, wait a minute now, Ray.
Oh, sorry. I know. I didn't mean to insult
Nowhere
you.
near that.
He's nowhere near half a billionaire.
No.
That's
no.
okay.
If he were,
Half billion
if he
pesos.
were, I'd be much nicer to him than I am. Yeah.
Pesos.
Sorry. You can't be nice to me because I'm not worth anywhere near that.
But this is
That's
the
okay.
idiocy. I mean, even the head of the UAW goes, "Oh, this is going to be good for the they're going to suddenly, it's tomorrow they're going to start building all those auto plants over here."
No bullshit.
It's ridiculous. In France they have huge tariffs on foreign cars, but they made sure they had the infrastructure and the ability to build them in an affordable way. And all the cars in France, almost all of them are French cars.
Yeah, but you have to buy a Dushavot, and how's that going for you?
No, they have some damn good cars now. It's not like that anymore. No, but I mean they did it smartly. Well, we're just we don't have the infrastructure.
We don't have the infrastructure to do that kind of tariff thing that we're doing.
Right, and we also, even if we did, we'd have to pay people so much money that the prices would still be super high.
Yeah.
So
The other thing that what people start doing is, you want us to build more cars? Fine. I'm going to do it automated. Any of these people who have these high jobs and all of that, they're going to be disappear.
Yeah, he's not passing any laws about automation in these auto plants.
They'll just be all robots.
No shit.
Yeah.
And
Bill
half of
Gates
that's
recently
being
said
done-
that anyway.
So I mean, I don't, I just think that the idea that this is going to bring business back, it might eventually, but not immediately. And in the meantime, what's going to happen to the American public? They got to buy a new car because they're in the habit of buying a new one every 2 years, every 3 years. How often do we buy cars now? How often did you buy your last car, Josh?
I haven't bought one for. Both my cars are paid for, so I haven't bought one for probably 5 years.
Really? How about you, Alan?
12 years.
12 years. Wow.
260,000 miles.
Really? How about you, Ray?
2019.
Really? Okay. Jeff?
Well, no one's been buying them because they're too expensive.
People don't buy cars anymore because
they're
our
too fucking
cars
expensive.
last forever.
Well, in
They're
my neighborhood, they
automated.
buy them like crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're way too expensive. I mean, and when they do buy them, they buy a lot of them used. I mean, I'm not buying a new car.
Yeah.
I mean, I go buy one with 8,000 miles on it. It's $20,000 cheaper than
That's right.
the brand. I'm serious. I mean, that's what I do every time. I mean, you want to go buy a brand new Grand Cherokee Limited like I have. I mean, they want $65,000 for it. I'm not paying that much money for a fucking car.
You know what's the biggest con job, I think, Ponzi scheme, is leasing a car.
Right.
I mean, I had a car I owned, and so my business manager said, "Well, why don't you lease the next one?" He said, "After all, after you're through with the car, it's 3 years later, and you get another one."
Right.
And I said, "Oh, okay, that's fine." So now we lease a car.
Right.
And I love the car. It was great. It was like an Acura, top of the line Acura. It was a great car. It's like driving around in a living room, And but I kept having myself watch the mileage go by and paying attention to it. And finally, because I had a second car that was all paid off, I would sometimes drive that car instead of the other car when I was using up too much mileage on the Acura. And the idea of having to look at that mileage, and you only get 36,000 miles. And in California, how many years would driving your normal car be that you'd hit 36,000 miles? Probably a year and a half, maybe.
People don't drive as much in the Bay Area.
They're expensive, so people aren't buying new cars. So now we're also going to make the parts for the cars that they're keeping more expensive. I mean, so like I said, I say let's go for it. Let's try it out.
Now is a good time if you do buy a new car that you get an extended warranty through the dealership. Because when that $250 alternator goes out and they got to pay $800 for it, doesn't matter to you.
What do you think the extended warranty is going to cost you now?
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's another issue.
It's also going to drive up the price of used cars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So just as long as all the UAW members that are going to get laid off in about 18 months remember that they won't be able to buy soda pop with their food stamps anymore, so just as long as they're cool with that, I'm fine with it.
Have you heard about the latest thing with Social Security?
No.
No, they're not doing away with Social Security. They're just making it harder for you to get. Because before you used to be able to do it over the phone. Now you have to go down to a Social Security office to do it.
The trouble is they've closed like 200 of the Social Security
Yeah, they're closing half the Social
But they're
Security
closing
office.
the offices as well.
I mean,
So now, and who are the people who collect Social Security? Older people.
I mean, the thing is, this is like a huge gamble for them because they don't have a decent understanding of, history. So they need to understand, like, this gamble, like, if this doesn't absolutely work out for them, and all these cuts and changes and all this, and this back to the Stone Age shit, if it doesn't completely work out and people don't love it, that basically means it's going to be a disaster, okay? And it's going to put the government back into a spot where it was in the 19 teens and the 1920s, which is where they're headed with it, like with tariffs and isolationism, protectionism, etc., etc. And then as soon as anything gets bad, there's not going to be anything for people at all. And the last time that happened, it birthed 5.5 to 6 decades of the largest expansion of liberalism in the history of the world. Okay,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
From 1930 until 1980, basically, this country expanded in a liberal way everything: benefits, civil rights. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Globalist, global economy, involvement in foreign, policy and wars. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on, and that is exactly what will happen again if it doesn't work out for them, because then people will be reminded once more of what their lives will look like when it truly is every man for himself, you're on your own type of deal. And like I said, the last time that happened, it birthed the longest expansion of liberal policies in the history of the world.
So we had
So,
a depression first.
correct.
Depression, yeah.
So this right, but
Well,
and
with the
that's what I'm
Depression,
saying,
you have no idea how fast Herbert Hoover was out of a job.
That's what I mean. If it doesn't work out for them, it may very well, you know, blow up so badly that not only did they not get anything that they wanted to last, they're going to get the exact opposite, and people on the left are going to have a record run for a while on it, like they did before. So
Sounds good to me.
now what
Yep.
they got to be careful with, in my opinion, is not if that starts happening and people start turning to them again, is they have to do it smartly, and they have to watch where they go with some of the social issues and things like that. They can't outrun the people on certain items, and they can't get drawn back into fights about, whether or not the 9 people in the whole country that change genders can play basketball with their daughter or not. They can't get drawn into that. They have to keep moving forward on the economic
Well,
message.
I think that's an issue. That was a non-starter, that issue. I mean, it's Trump that made a big deal out of it. But the fact is, how many guys are trying to play on women's teams?
Like I said,
As you said, 5 or
probably less-
6, right?
Right.
And the only time I ever heard about it was in women's swimming. The guy who wanted to
College
be in
swimming,
and he
yeah.
did, and it was bad. I think it's a bad idea. I mean, come on. I mean, women do not have the same body strength that men do. They're very good technically at what they do, and they're very skillful at what they do, but they don't do it with the energy that men do.
Yeah, so all they got to do is say that and then move on.
Yeah, I don't think who is it? Candace, what's her name? Who's the big basketball player now? The women's basketball player.
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin
She has a
Clark.
man's voice, though. She's really.
Yeah,
I think
but-
if you checked her hormones, they'd be
Yeah.
pretty.
Well, it could be, but the fact is, she doesn't want to play against, an NBA player, men's basketball player.
Hell no.
She doesn't.
Get destroyed.
Hmm?
She'd
Well,
get destroyed.
It's not a matter of getting destroyed. It's a matter of you're playing with two different sets of physical abilities. That's all.
Right. That's what I mean.
all.
Yeah. It wouldn't be
Not,
fair.
not saying anything against women.
No.
I mean, my wife could beat the shit out of me.
There's a few sports where men and women are equal, like the dressage and the horse racing. I mean, around when they do the jumping.
Yeah, of
and
course.
stuff.
Yeah.
And shooting.
Yeah.
There's a few sports where they're equal.
things where something else is actually doing the exercise for you. Let's say, I mean, the horse is doing the main part,
or
of
just
it.
hand-eye coordination, where you don't have to do anything physical other than shoot a target.
Yeah. But
I mean, it just uses common sense.
Yeah, but what I'm
They just
saying
can't
is,
get drawn into any kind of debate about it. They just have
Right.
to. They have to get mean, and they have to, just like I told you a few weeks ago, they just have to out Clinton. Okay, I mean, and they have to get mouthy about it. They want this Jasmine Crockett to apologize because she called the governor of Texas Governor Hot Wheels or whatever, because he's in a wheelchair. I wouldn't apologize. Fuck that. He wants me to apologize.
no.
He can. You know what he can do? He can walk his ass over here and make me. Fuck
Exactly. That's what Trump would say.
Go right ahead, fucker. I don't care. I mean, so we're not apologizing. Fuck him.
She never apologizes. I love her.
Yeah.
So
She's
it's like,
great.
they got to start fucking doing what they got to do. And like I said, LBJ made it clear that he was going to out Lincoln and drug his party into a new era. And all I said was, Bill Clinton talked about a lot of this shit in 1992 when he got elected, the economic issues and some of the trade issues and certain other things that Trump supports now. And I would just find somebody to out Clinton. I would take those policies up and make Democrats support him and play the game the way they play it, and they'll beat Trump. But they so far, I don't see evidence that they're going to do it.
Yeah.
What do you mean out Clinton?
I mean, they should be supporting some of the trade things and things that they that Trump ran on. I mean, Sherrod Brown was trying to get them as a party to support some of these, made in America type things and all that. Not necessarily tariffs, targeted tariffs, but not this widespread garbage and stuff for the last 10, 12, 15 years. Tim Ryan here in Ohio had been warning Democrats for a decade that they were ignoring people economically in favor of a more social agenda. I mean, Bill Clinton didn't push a hardcore social agenda. He pushed an economic agenda, a balanced budget. Okay, they should be trying to get something like that again. Every time they tried to draw Bill Clinton into the abortion debate, he kept his message clear. It should be, it should be safe. It should be legal, and it should be rare. I remember that being his message. I mean? He didn't get into it. You should be able to get it whenever you want. I mean, no one wants to hear that, really.
Yeah.
Hardcore people on the left, maybe, but a lot of Americans don't want to hear that. And they have some right to, I suppose. That's a decent opinion. But that's what kept it from going hardcore the other way. I mean, I'm just saying that, like I told you before, if you want to go look it up and you want to listen to Bill Clinton give his acceptance speech at the convention in 1992, I swear to you, you will say to yourself, someone could give that speech today in the Republican Party.
Yep.
Because it sounds like the type of message that they're pushing now. I mean, that's it's
Now,
no wonder that so many voters migrated over.
Does that make Clinton a good guy or a bad guy?
I think it makes him a good guy, in my opinion. He had a successful presidency, but he didn't allow the Democratic Party to wander too far to the left. It was farther than I think Republicans
Do you
were
think the
comfortable with,
Democratic Party
so
is too
what?
far to the left? Because I don't.
I think on some issues they are,
Like what?
like immigration, for one. You know, I mean, again, I told you before, I don't understand how,
Well, I don't
you
know.
know,
I mean,
I mean,
my position on immigration is, isn't that what this country was all about in the first place?
that's fine. I'm not saying I'm personally against it. I'm saying, though, the party will allow themselves to get painted into a corner where they constantly make it sound like they're not against stopping anybody from being here or ever deporting anybody. It's just a, yeah, whatever. And, I mean, I'm for people coming here too. It's fine. But I mean, we've talked about this before. I mean, if you don't if you're not here legally and
No,
you've crossed the border illegally and you have no paperwork and you have nothing and you get arrested for a DUI or a shoplifting crime, Democrats act like they have a problem with you getting deported. And I mean, I don't
no,
get it.
I don't see
I
that
don't
as
think it's going to fix any problems,
I
but
don't
I don't
think
get why you're against
I
it.
don't see that as a reason to be deported. But I think expressing your opinion on a college campus is. It's objectionable because what else is a college and a university about but a place of learning and expression and thoughts and ideas and being able to debate issues. And if you can't do that,
Right, right.
then that now there's the proper place to do it. And we're still, what are we doing? Those people are down in Louisiana right now.
Did you hear Rubio talking about those people and saying how he's glad that he's kicking those students out for writing things that he against Israel or whatever?
Or they didn't even do that. They were pro-Palestinian. They were against what was going on in Gaza.
Yeah.
Which I feel the same way. Do I get deported? No.
No.
Probably.
Are we sending a good message to these people? I was thinking about it a moment ago, and they say the people who are trying to get across the border is really low right now. It's almost minimalistic to even think about it. It's not a problem any longer. And I stopped to think about, I wonder why. Is it because of Bush's policies, or is it part of the
Trump.
reason is they finally said, oh, shit, look what this country's becoming. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Who wants to come here?
Yeah,
What's so
Too many
great about it?
Spanish-speaking people.
you know.
That's what really pisses off the Republicans.
With the Republicans, they're Spanish-speaking people. I don't know if that's the reason why. It's just a non-issue. It's not the major issue we have here. It's like, oh, look at the problem at the border, but don't pay attention to what we're doing to your paycheck. Don't ask what we're doing to your Social Security. Don't ask what we're doing to all this other stuff. It's all diversion. You get pissed off at all the wrong stuff, because they
Right,
make
which
a
is-
big deal out of it.
which is
like,
fair.
Like that whole issue of trans
Right,
people
which is
in
fair.
sports.
And like I said, I think in reality, I don't disagree. I'm just saying, as politicians, Democrats don't sometimes understand the electorate. I mean, I'm just saying, no one's ever been able to answer the question for me that whether I think it was needed or not doesn't matter. But I mean, Republicans introduce, and don't get me wrong, I get tired of hearing about this crap too, but Republicans introduced this Lake and Riley Act that says if you're an illegal immigrant and you get arrested for a crime and you're here illegally, you just automatically get deported. Okay? Which, right? And then a bunch of Democrats don't vote for it. I mean, so as a politician, knowing where the electorate is, tell me a good reason why you vote against that law.
But what kind of a message are we putting across when we're saying, okay, if you're an illegal alien, you come here and you commit a crime, we're going to deport you? Oh, really? That's the worst punishment? These people just like robbed a bank and you're going to just deport them back to the country they came from?
No, the act said that, when you're arrested for these crimes, you have to be turned over, to immigration. You can still be prosecuted and serve your time here in American prison for your crime. And then when your time is up, on the day of your release, they don't release you. They take you wherever to the airport and they deport you.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have to serve the time for the criminal offense, but if it's a criminal offense that was not worth the trial, like I said, there was like shoplifting, DUI, there were a bunch of provisions in there, then they just deport you. They turn you over to immigration and deport you. And again, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily a huge deal. I'm saying a Democrat can't give me a good reason why they vote against it, and they got hammered for it in the press and in the electorate. I mean, there are people who actually look at that and say, why, what's wrong with that law? I mean, like I said, I don't think it's really fixing anything, but I also can't give you a reason why I would vote against it.
What I've said, though, is that it's in the best interest of people like the Republicans to keep us as a people fighting with each other.
Yeah.
Because as long as we're fighting with each other, we're not looking over our shoulder at what the bad guys are really doing. And they're getting away with murder now. All because we're arguing about the wrong stuff.
Which is why I'm saying I wouldn't be arguing with him about it. When they put the bill up in the House, I would have just been like, yeah, that's fine. We'll vote for that. Next issue, please. I wouldn't give him the argument. But instead of just saying, yeah, we'll vote for that, Democrats argued with him over it for months and months and months. All they did the whole time was look like clowns to the American public. Oh, and by the way, the bill still passed anyway.
And why? Because the Democrats went along with it.
Right. I mean, so what'd you get out of it except, you look stupid for a while. I mean, it didn't do anything but cost you.
Let me ask you. Let me ask.
That's my point.
Let me ask Brian something quickly here because we only have a couple of minutes left. You like cars? You work on cars and things like that? Oh no! Oh, I guess I was completely mistaken.
That's the only reason I work is so I have my car hobby. Yes.
Yes. How's this going to affect you with parts?
Oh, so it's really interesting. McLaren, McLaren has my phone number. The couple of the ones around here because I was looking at some cars, last year, and their new tactic is buy a used McLaren now. And there's a couple that have like different kinds of cars, like Ferraris and stuff. They're saying buy it now before the next year comes out and the tariffs hit 25% for cars. So they're trying to use that, saying like, hey, buy a car now because after that. So my group that has some pretty wealthy people on it, they it's like 10 of us, and they're talking about how just everything's just going to get ramped up in the exotic car stuff, and it's like, it's really crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, for car parts, for me, my old stuff is fine, but the stuff, the cars, just in general. And my friend works for a company, Neo, and it's a China company, and actually it's pretty cool. So it's like, let's say a stupid Tesla. It's an electric car, but it has a little dome in the middle of the dashboard, and when you turn on the car, the little eyes light up and a little smile, and he says, "Good morning, Brian," and he says, "Where are we going today?" And then you say, "I'm going to work." And they say, okay, and then he puts the GPS up there, and he puts your way to work, the best way to work, and he says, here's our best way, you should be there in 20 minutes, and blah, blah, blah. And then you take off. And so I went to his work because they had a few of the cars there, and we did some test drives. And then we're driving, and my friend says, Neo, take a selfie of us. And then all of a sudden, he did a selfie. And then he'll emailed it to his email. And very interactive.
You notice how excited he is about this.
It's very interactive. It's a different level.
We don't want you getting an erection on the air. Okay, just stop it now.
Well, how do you know I don't already? So
anyway, we're running out of time here.
The thing is all about, we talk about interactive, the AI stuff. This is part of that next level, and he's coming from China because China's very advanced in automobiles from us. And the bad thing is now that these won't come here, so they'll stay over there because they were worried about the tariffs when I was over at their company a few months ago.
Yeah.
And these are very inexpensive.
I'm worried about them taking selfies of me while I'm driving. Anyway, listen, we got to go here. Thanks to Josh for being with us this evening.
Already?
Great to have you. Well, you just joined us about 10 minutes ago. You're becoming a regular
Don Geller. Dan Geller.
Thanks very much, Alan, for being here. Ray, good seeing you tonight. Jeff, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, Kevin. Charlie, you're a regular, and of course Brian Neary. These are people we all like and have been. I feel like they're my friends. Anyway, everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. Okay, there they go. They're starting to sign off now. Okay, I'll give a big wave goodbye as well. Let me just bring myself up to full camera here. And we'll see you again Monday as we do the pop-up show on Monday at 4 o'clock. It'll be on Facebook. And then, of course, next Wednesday, we'll be here at 10:30. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, stay tuned for Amy Manuel, who is next. And she'll be taking your calls at Skype on Gabnet Live. I'll see you whenever I see you next, right here. And have a nice weekend, everybody. I appreciate it. So long.